How's it going, gamers? It's Nathan here. Figured I would go over the trade that I took today. Today was a pretty solid day, I'd say. Unfortunately, we didn't get our full take profit. We did have to leave the trade early. But as always, let's go ahead and freaking break down the trade for you. We traded today in the freaking NASDAQ. This is already marked out for the 9:30 session. Figured I would at least give us a little, prelude and whatnot before we actually break down the trade. But for starters, before we even hop in, we'll go over the strategy real quick. Why not? Because, how did we even determine where we were going to trade for today? Let's look at the bigger time frame for a sec. We're in the 4-hour BTW. As you can see, market's making higher low or lower highs and lower lows, lower high. This one kind of caps right there, as you can see, but it continues down to a lower low. So off the bat, I'm thinking, okay, market's most likely going to go down, but we also get a freaking SMT right over here. So 11 to 8, 11, which is right here, to 8. So you can see the huge difference right over here. It's gonna look kind of ugly. 11 to 8, and we can honestly just make it nice and pretty. Boom. 11 to 8, SMT right there. What does this mean? Market is gonna go in this freaking direction. If everything aligns, market's gonna go down there, right? How do we know that? This is a freaking SMT. The tops, the way I remembered it, or the way I was taught, for the tops, down. For the bottoms, up. That's how it's remembered, because lower lows are indicated by the top, higher highs are indicated by the bottom. It's also the 1 hour, not even a 30-minute. Oh well, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. But yeah, so that's two things right there, right? Based off of market direction and a 30-minute SMT indicating, that we're going to go for the downside. Okay, cool. What else? Well, now we just go hop into the 5-minute, right? We're in the freaking 5-minute. And now we need to find a decent places for our, supply and demand zones. Well, for starters, we got to also mark out our execution zone, which is for us, it's 10 a.m. Cool. Now we let market play off. Okay. We're going to pause right there. We're also going to look for good demand zones for this time zone. Now, you could honestly go two ways. You could go this one right over. So this is what I saw. I saw this one right over here, but I also saw this one right over here. I was honestly thinking, like, at first, I'm not going to lie to you, I did have this one marked out, but market eventually, as you'll see, might as well play it. Market eventually just breaks right through it. So for me, this wasn't a good zone whatsoever. So instead, we decide to use this bottom one right over here instead. I had to mark both of them just in case, because in a way I kind of felt unconfident about this one and more confident about this one, in which this case it was. Once market taps in right over here, we set a horizontal line below that wick, or sorry, above the wick, go into the 1 minute, and we wait for market to open and tap into the zone, which it does right over there beautifully. So we enter for a long. We put our stop loss. We typically don't want to be above 30 points, but in this case, I believe we were 37. Yeah. And we go for longs. Now, where is our take profit going to be? Well, for us, we're going to want to go for this zone right over here, right? Okay, let me slow down for a bit. if we knew that the market was going to go for the downside, if it was going to rip for the downside, why did we go longs? Okay, for starters, before I get way ahead of myself. So like I said, in the higher time frame, we're making higher lows and lower highs and lower lows. We already know we're going to go bearish for open season. We go into the 30 minutes, we find a SMT. Same thing with this one right over here, SMT. This is clearly going for the lows as market opens. Okay, cool. So if everything aligns up with the market, it's most likely going to go down. Why did we go for ups? Well, like I said, we don't trade in the early market session. We try to knock out anything that's left over, right? After the freaking banks and retail institutions have already ate their fair share of the cake, we want whatever's left over, right? I don't care about catching all of this. I'm okay with missing out all of this. But once everybody has, done their fair share, has already sold the market, everybody over here is going to end up buying. We're most likely going to end up here. So that is why we're going to enter freaking longs. So we wait for all this to get played out. Once it taps into our freaking demand zone, we will take profit at this zone right over here. Okay, cool. So what else? I hope that made it sense. I'm just so used to freaking, finding the kill zones and whatnot and finding the trade and entering it automatically. Yesterday, unfortunately, it did break through our little demand zone. So we did get stopped out and we just left it at that. But as of today, it actually played out beautifully. So we were able to actually take a solid trade today. So we'll put our take profit right over here to land us hopefully a 23 to 23, technically 24 risk reward. But unfortunately, we don't get all the way up here. It'll most likely get filled during Asian, but market technically closes at 6. So yeah, I'm just gonna talk in the meantime. So we just let the trade freaking play off. Honestly, my biggest mistake too with this trade, because I definitely could have gotten a lot more. I moved my stop loss too soon, when in reality I should have just taken out the fib tool, which is no, I think it's right over here. Yeah. And marked out from the top of the trend. So I guess realistically you're right over there. You can't even see that. You can't even see that. Hang on, let me make this darker. Okay, cool. You still can't see that. Okay, well, we'll just, I guess, well, I'm pretty sure I got like a 50%. Hang on, let's see. I do. Okay. The problem with this trade was that when I took this trade, instead of putting my stop loss, like when I was, when the trade was advancing, instead of putting my stop loss right there in that middle mark, I decided to move it up at the halfway mark. So about like right here, which market will eventually reverse. So once I saw it past the 50% mark, that's when I decided to move my stop loss right over here, like roughly right over there. 50% of the 50% mark, which eventually will get me stopped out, when realistically, if I stayed in the trade, I definitely could have ate more of the sliver of the cake. But that was mainly because I thought market was, I mean, because as you can see right over here, I'm thinking, okay, market's losing its momentum, perfect time to get out. And which we did. Now, it wasn't a bad, it wasn't nothing like, it was terrible, because we still got a freaking 6 risk reward, but we definitely could have got a up to 12 risk reward. Realistically, like 11, 44, but up to 12. So we definitely missed out on that. It's a bit upsetting. I'm not going to lie to you, but like I said, 50% mark of the 50% mark isn't too bad. Why did it freeze? Okay, weird. Freezing again. Are we? Okay. But yeah, I mean, that's basically how the freaking trade played off. I guess it's not going to show the rest, but eventually market just goes back above the zone. And realistically, if we, left our stop a little longer, or at least moved it up from, instead of moving it up to there, we left it like about break even, you know, or moved it up slightly, even when we're to take that little bit of profit. So we can at least give the trade some breathing room, instead of just taking this little part. So then eventually we could just, move our stop loss above this. Because after this little period, it goes back up, and it just keeps on going into this halfway zone. But that's how it's going to be with some trades. Some trades, it's always going to freaking full part and go to the very top where you want it to go. Sometimes it won't have enough momentum, but that's just the way it is with the game. But if we go to the 4 hour, as you can see, market's going to continue down, and tomorrow it'll most likely continue down, but we'll most likely still catch the freaking, we'll go longs most likely for tomorrow, especially since I think the daily candle's still bearish. So yeah, that's how the freaking trade played off. I'd say it was a pretty solid day. I mean, it's better than, making nothing. Definitely got FOMO, so I actually ended up freaking locking myself out of the account so I don't freaking try to trade. Because as soon as I saw it go back up here and breaking above it, it did give me FOMO, and I didn't want to, freaking sabotage the profit that I made. So I just took what I could. If that was all market was going to give me, then I might as well just take what I can. Let's see. So yeah, I mean, right over here, or this isn't even the, hang on. We'll go to the 5 minute instead, because it looks cleaner. Not so choppy. Nope, still choppy. But it goes above that 50% threshold. And I think the highest we could have probably caught within the time frame, or the time zone, is this one right over here, which is 16. Could have grabbed a 16, but it's just the way it is with this game. You win some, you lose some. This case, we won some, maybe not the entire cake, but like I said, we'll grab what we can. I'm just glad that my trade played out correctly in the direction I wanted it to play. Yeah, that was how the freaking trade played off. If you guys like this type of content, feel free to freaking give me a thumbs up. Any suggestions on what you guys want to see next? If you guys want me to go into deeper depth into my strategy, I can most likely do that and give it like its own video and its own respectable video that you guys can review. I'll basically go over the entire thing, like why even go for this, like give you the entire definitions. If you guys are interested, just let me know. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I'd say today was a pretty solid day. And if you, caught the early bull, good on you, right? Because honestly, if you were to, I said I was going to be dumb, but let's say off of this, I think it's like a low right over here. But let's say you entered after that broke structure, and then you just decided to go for shorts right there, put your stop loss above that. Let's see what you would have grabbed. A good 8 or 12. You definitely would have beat me, but maybe not in this sense, because I still would have. So I think the 50% mark was like right there, like the 11. Yeah, like right there. Never mind. My trade would have been bigger. Whatever. It's not about the freaking numbers at the end of the day. It's just how consistent and how consistently profitable you are. and that's how this game is treated. Yeah, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Jesus loves you. I freaking love you. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, concerns, feel free to drop it in the comments. If you want any video or you have any video suggestions, something you'd like to see, something you would like me to explain for you a lot deeper, like my strategy, I'll make a video on that as well for you guys. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Y'all have a blessed day.